Sometimes the strongest move is not saying more, it's saying nothing and becoming everything you once weren't. No chasing, just one quiet shift that changes how you're remembered forever. This isn't about control, it's about presence, growth, and silent power. Sometimes the strongest move is not saying more, it's saying nothing and becoming everything you once weren't. No chasing, no explaining. Just one quiet shift that changes how you're remembered forever. This isn't about control. It's about presence, growth, and silent power. Upgrading quietly means committing to growth without announcing it, posting it, or seeking recognition for it. Most people feel the need to show progress as soon as they begin, but real transformation happens away from attention. When improvement is private, it becomes deeper and more permanent. You're not changing to impress anyone, you're changing because you decided your current level is no longer enough. This quiet upgrade starts with daily habits. Small choices made consistently reshape discipline. Waking up earlier, managing time better, learning something new, or taking care of your body and mind may seem unremarkable in isolation, but together they create momentum. No one sees the effort at first, and that's the point. When there's no audience, excuses disappear. You either show up for yourself or you don't. Improving in silence also builds patience. Progress isn't rushed when it's private. You stop measuring success by reactions and start measuring it by internal standards. That shift strengthens confidence. You know what you're doing, even if no one else does yet. And that certainty becomes steady, not fragile. There's also power in surprise. When growth isn't advertised, it's felt later through presence, consistency, and results. People sense the difference before they understand it. The way you carry yourself changes. Your focus sharpens. Your reactions become calmer. These are signs of inner upgrade, and they can't be faked or forced. Quiet improvement removes comparison. When you're not performing, you're not competing. You're building at your own pace, based on your own values. That freedom makes growth sustainable. You're no longer driven by pressure, approval, or fear of falling behind. You're moving forward because it aligns with who you're becoming. Upgrading quietly also protects your energy. Explaining goals too early invites opinions, doubt, and distraction. Keeping progress private keeps motivation clean. It stays yours. That privacy creates a sense of control and self-respect that naturally reflects outward. In time, the results speak without effort. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. The change doesn't ask for attention. It earns it. And when growth finally becomes visible, it doesn't look sudden to you. It looks inevitable because you did the work when no one was watching. Expand the 3 key point on the 400 words without heading. Removing emotional availability does not mean becoming cold, distant, or disrespectful. It means no longer offering unlimited access to your attention, energy, or reassurance. Many people give too much of themselves without realizing it, always responding, always explaining, always being present even when it costs them peace. Stepping back from that pattern is not cruelty, it is self-respect. When emotional availability is unlimited, it loses value, not because emotions should be scarce, but because boundaries matter. By choosing when and how you engage, you protect your mental space. You stop being pulled into every conversation, every mood, every situation that doesn't truly require you. This creates balance. You are still kind, still respectful, but no longer overextended. This shift often feels uncomfortable at first. There's a habit of being needed, of filling silence, of fixing things emotionally. Letting go of that role can feel like losing control. In reality, it's gaining it. You begin to understand that your worth is not measured by how much emotional labor you provide. You are allowed to pause, to delay responses, to prioritize your own clarity. Reducing emotional availability also sharpens emotional intelligence. You become more selective with your words and reactions. Instead of reacting immediately, you process first. That pause changes everything. It prevents misunderstandings, emotional exhaustion, and unnecessary conflict. You respond with intention rather than impulse. There is also a quiet strength in not being constantly accessible. It communicates stability. People sense that you are grounded, not reactive, not dependent on emotional exchanges to feel validated. This isn't something you announce, it's something others notice over time through consistency. Importantly, removing emotional availability is not about playing games or creating confusion. It's about alignment. You engage when it feels right, not out of obligation or fear of losing connection. That authenticity builds healthier dynamics because interactions are based on choice rather than pressure. As this boundary settles, your energy changes. You feel lighter, more focused, and more in control of your emotional world. You stop carrying feelings that aren't yours to manage. That inner calm becomes visible through how you speak, how you listen, and how you move through situations. In the end, emotional availability becomes something you offer deliberately, not something others take automatically. And that shift, subtle but firm, reshapes how you are experienced without you ever having to explain it. Staying kind without being emotionally invested is about maintaining respect while releasing attachment. Kindness is a choice rooted in character. Investment is a choice tied to expectation. When the two are separated, interactions become lighter, healthier, and more controlled. You no longer give with the hope of a certain response or outcome. You give because it aligns with who you are. Kindness without investment means you don't withdraw your values just because your emotions have shifted. You're still polite, still considerate, still humane. What changes is the inner attachment, the need for approval, validation, or reciprocity. You stop measuring your actions by how they are received and start measuring them by whether they reflect self-respect. This balance takes maturity. Many people confuse kindness with obligation, believing that being nice requires emotional involvement. It doesn't. You can wish someone well without carrying their emotions. You can listen without absorbing. You can respond without becoming responsible for how the response is interpreted. When emotional investment is removed, expectations fade. And where expectations fade, disappointment loses its grip. You stop replaying conversations, overthinking reactions, or reading into silence. Your energy stays centered because you are no longer tying your emotional state to someone else's behavior. There is also a noticeable calm that comes with this shift. Your tone becomes steady. Your words are measured. You're no longer trying to impress, convince, or hold space that drains you. That calm isn't passive, it's grounded. It signals confidence because it shows you are secure enough to be kind without needing anything in return. This approach also preserves dignity on both sides. You don't become distant or harsh, and you don't overextend yourself either. The interaction remains respectful, but the emotional weight is gone. That contrast often stands out more than dramatic reactions ever could. Staying kind without investment allows you to move forward without bitterness. You don't need to shut doors aggressively or burn bridges emotionally. You simply stop standing in places that no longer serve you. And that decision is made quietly, without explanation or performance. Over time, this creates a strong internal boundary. You recognize when kindness is healthy and when investment becomes self-neglect. You learn to choose the former consistently. That choice changes how you feel in interactions, lighter, clearer, more in control. In the end, kindness remains part of who you are, not something you give away at your own expense. And by releasing emotional investment, you protect your peace while still showing up as a respectful, composed version of yourself. Letting consistency replace words is one of the most powerful ways to communicate without needing to explain or perform. Actions, when repeated reliably over time, speak louder than any statement or promise ever could. People remember patterns far more than they remember words. A single act may be forgotten, but consistency builds a lasting impression. It creates trust, respect, and quiet influence that cannot be fabricated. Consistency begins with self-discipline. Showing up regularly, fulfilling commitments, and managing responsibilities steadily demonstrates integrity. It's not about doing grand gestures or drawing attention. It's about reliability in everyday moments. Over time, this steady pattern becomes noticeable even if you never announce it. People sense it instinctively. They recognize dependability, calmness, and order without you having to highlight it. There's a subtle power in replacing explanations with actions. Words can be argued over, misinterpreted, or dismissed. Actions, however, are tangible proof of character. When you consistently act in alignment with your values, beliefs, and priorities, you create an undeniable presence. This is why those who quietly improve, work hard, and stay disciplined often make a far stronger impression than those who loudly announce intentions. Consistency also fosters internal confidence. You no longer feel the need to justify yourself or explain choices. You trust that your actions reflect who you are and where you're headed. That trust radiates outward. Others sense it through your calmness, measured behavior, and refusal to be reactive. That type of presence commands attention naturally, without drama or effort. Another important aspect is patience. Consistency is rarely about instant results. It's about sustained effort, often without immediate recognition. You work, improve, and maintain standards because it matters to you, not because anyone is watching. This patience builds resilience as you become less dependent on external validation and more aligned with your own growth. Replacing words with consistent action also sets boundaries subtly. You communicate values and limits through your habits and priorities rather than through debate or argument. It signals self-respect and stability, which naturally earns respect from others. You don't need to remind anyone of your worth. It's shown in how you operate daily. Ultimately, consistency creates a silent reputation. It's quiet but unmistakable. People notice it, remember it, and respond to it even if they cannot fully articulate why. Over time, it builds influence, credibility, and impact far stronger than any speech ever could, because it's rooted in reality, not rhetoric. Becoming unrecognizable is not about changing who you are at your core. It's about evolving into a version of yourself that reflects growth, confidence, and self-mastery. It's the subtle transformation that comes from consistent effort, reflection, and a refusal to remain stagnant. People notice change not because it's announced, but because energy, presence, and mindset shift in ways that are impossible to ignore. This transformation starts internally. Thoughts, habits, and perspectives gradually align with the person you want to become. You prioritize your goals, manage your emotions effectively, and develop resilience against distractions and negativity. As your inner world changes, your external presence naturally follows. Posture, tone, and the way you carry yourself all subtly signal that you are no longer the same person others once knew. It's not dramatic, it's deliberate, steady, and profound. Becoming unrecognizable also involves shedding patterns that no longer serve you. Old reactions, insecurities, and dependencies quietly fade because they don't fit the upgraded version of yourself. This doesn't mean abandoning kindness or authenticity. It means setting boundaries and refusing to allow external forces to dictate your peace. The people who once expected you to behave in predictable ways may feel the shift, even if they can't fully explain it. That sense of unfamiliarity commands attention because it signals strength, independence, and focus. Another key aspect is developing confidence that is visible but understated. Confidence isn't loud or performative. It's calm, steady, and grounded. It comes from knowing your worth, trusting your journey, and committing to growth without seeking approval. When you embody this energy, others sense it immediately. The way you respond to challenges, remain composed under pressure, and make decisions reflects someone who has evolved beyond old limitations. This transformation also emphasizes mastery over actions and reactions. Decisions become intentional rather than impulsive. Communication is measured rather than reactive. Energy is protected and focus is maintained. The consistency of these behaviors gradually makes you feel and appear unshakable. People notice not just what you do, but how you do it, how every movement, word, and choice carries quiet authority. Ultimately, becoming unrecognizable is about presence. It's the invisible force of personal evolution that shifts perception without explanation. You don't need to tell anyone you've changed. The change speaks for itself. Others feel it in the energy you carry, in your confidence, and in the way you navigate life. That subtle transformation leaves a lasting impression, creating influence, respect, and intrigue simply through the power of becoming your best self.